I'll take pieces of the DBIR and I'll screenshot some of them and put them into PowerPoint or Google slide decks, and I use that to build business cases for where we should invest and where we should be on the lookout for future investment. So welcome to Cybersecurity Growth, a show for aspiring and existing cybersecurity leaders. I'm Sean Valley.
And I'm Garrett Gross.
That was so deep. That was so good. All right, welcome. This is fantastic. All right. We have not done a show in a while. It's been more than 2 weeks. That is truth. It's true. It's been more than 2 weeks. We generally use every 2 weeks. And with that, Garrett, just to be honest, I think our last 3 shows I still have on reel to reel. I don't think I've actually uploaded them yet to the internet.
They're on tape. They're on Betamax.
I have not done that yet. So I actually owe us like 3 shows to be uploaded. So I guess before we get into it, maybe we should just let everybody know, hey, Garrett and I have been like busy. And I'm sure anybody who listens and watches gets it. Life gets busy, work gets busy, family gets busy. And somehow a lot of things just got, I don't know, I guess slowed down. One, we haven't recorded a show in a while. And 2, like the last 3 shows haven't been uploaded. But things have been busy. I mean, not in a bad sense, just busy.
Well, we were talking about this earlier too, doing some backstage kind of pre-gaming, and like I got a pretty significant promotion in what I do, and it's funny because you really don't realize the difference between what you were doing and then what you're now asked to do. And this one was a pretty big step. And then Sean, for you were unemployed for a while.
I was, and then I took on a full-time, very rich CISO gig. Like, you know, when I say rich, I don't mean rich in the money sense. I mean rich in the amount of content and work and things you do when, you know, in a CISO role. We've talked about CISO roles here many times on the show. We have CISO training classes in the platform. I've done the CISO role before. I love the CISO role. I saw somebody quote this on LinkedIn. It was something like, the worst job I always wanted.
That's right. Absolutely.
I love doing it, but it is a fully consuming role, especially when you're at an org that supports what you're doing and wants you a part of the company's mission.
Oh, absolutely.
When you're in, and then you are immersed.
Well, and that's a blessing and a curse too, because as security leaders, we want to be immersed in the rest of the company's doings. We want to have the support of the business leaders, the marketing, product, all that stuff. But man, that really spreads yourself thin, very quickly.
And it's something we all want. I think anybody watching or listening to the show would say, that's what I want. And we all know this. We don't all get that, right? Oftentimes we come in and we're brought in, it's like, the compliance team because some audit, some security framework required that we exist, or we get brought in because of a nasty data breach and the company's like, oh, we need to clean up by staffing up, and we don't really want this, but we need it because we're in such a bad situation. Very often those are the 2 big times that like security teams get built up, and
that's right.
Let's be honest. And so oftentimes you are not necessarily the most desired function. Of course, if you work at a security product company, it might be a little bit different, but
it's a little bit different.
Most of us don't, because most of the world isn't a security product company. Most of the world is everything else. So
I wish every company was a security product company. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
No. All right, let me talk about our agenda, because we do have a lot to cover and we do have limited time, which I guess is good for everyone. So today's agenda, we are going to cover the Verizon 2025 Data Breach Investigations Report.
Yes.
I just wanted fanfare. I want to hear cheering. Let's find a way to put some audio after. One, we've been talking about doing this for a long time. We do this every year when the report comes out. We get together, we review it, we discuss it, we have our thoughts around it. Thing is, the report came out in April, I think.
Yeah, but
and we're recording this in June, so it's not old news. We are just so used to doing very fresh of the week current news. So our bad, but we are still here talking about it. We weren't going to skip it because it actually is one of my favorite books of the year.
100%. And we've talked about this before. Every year I read the DBIR, and not because I like pain and I like to read very dense reports, but it's just always such an objective view on what's going on in security today. You and I have actually worked with one of the previous authors of the DBIR, Bob, and it's just always so chock full of real research and such, I don't know, just great data to pull from for every topic that we can talk about in the context of security.
Yeah. But before we do this, hey, Garrett, just wondering who you're wearing today.
What's funny is I actually didn't have a security shirt on, but conveniently I'm wearing a no label shirt from Linus Tech Tips, which is not a security company.
That is not real. Are you really wearing a shirt?
Yes.
From Linus?
Yes, this is a blank shirt that they sell on their store. Linus Tech Tips, if you're not familiar, you should be. It is a great gaming computer review content. I mean, it's, your typical YouTube story went from very humble beginnings. Now they have like a, corporate office and a warehouse and stuff like that. But anyway, that's what I'm wearing.
That's so funny. You're wearing a tech shirt that has nothing on it.
Correct. It has absolutely nothing on it whatsoever.
That's so funny.
Well, with that, I'll turn the mic over to you. Sean, who are you wearing today?
Thank you, Garrett. Today, we are not sponsored by this. It just is the shirt that was the next one in the drawer. Sysdig. I'm wearing Sysdig today. They do cloud security things, container security things, some CSPM, I believe. I haven't used their products before, but it's just kind of my quick understanding of their background and where they're focused. Garrett, do you know their stuff much?
No, but it sounds like they dig into your systems.
Based on the name, that sounds about right. Why I'm wearing it because I picked up this shirt at last year's Black Hat, and I still haven't gone through them all.
I'm so excited for you to go to Black Hat again and get 40 more T-shirts that will take you more than a year to wear.
I need to bring a second collapsible suitcase that I fill up to bring home.
Or if you're rolling in dough like you are, you package them up at the hotel and ship them from FedEx, which will cost you $780,000 to ship out.
You actually suggested that to me last year. I didn't do that, but you did suggest it, and I thought about it because I didn't know how to get all my stuff home.
It's the way to go. It does literally cost like twice as much as a regular FedEx store because you're sending out from a hotel, or at least that's my experience. I don't know. I'm bad with money. Ask my wife.
Yeah. Anyways, speaking of that, we don't have a This Week in Cyber, but keep in mind, Hacker Summer Camp is coming up very soon.
Yes.
If you haven't made your reservations, it's getting late, but you still can. But we're talking about Black Hat, DEF CON, B-Sides, all the things at once in Las Vegas with many other cons. Garrett, I don't know if you want to say a word about it, but that's coming up soon.
Absolutely. So Hacker Summer Camp, it's the best week in Vegas. It's the only week that I'll go to Vegas these days. And like Sean said, it is a week long of conferences. The main ones in order are going to be B-Sides Las Vegas, Black Hat, and then DEF CON. But interspersed between those, you've got the Diana Initiative, which is a great conference highlighting women in security. You've got GothCon, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of goth hackers. You've got FurCon, which is a bunch of furry hackers. You've got Blanket Fort Con, where you go. I'm not making this up.
I believe those from FurryCon are walking right over to Blanket Fort Con.
100%. Why wouldn't you? It's great. It's a great chance to learn, to network, to have fun, and then see all your friends that you don't see for 12 months. So
nice.
It's a good time.
That's good. All right. A little word from our sponsor, which is the Cybersecurity Growth platform. The Cybersecurity Growth platform is now live and available for you with full access to our education series of self-paced courses, templates to help you quickly build a robust security program, and a community of some of the top global cybersecurity leaders. Are you a cybersecurity professional or an aspiring cybersecurity leader? Our unique course, the first 100 days of a CISO, and deep dives into security frameworks, and even novel industry-specific courses like cybersecurity for music professionals, are tailored specifically for immediate results. We have plans for every budget with free trials. Hey, ask your manager if you can use your company's training budget to pay for a subscription. Try it. it just might work. Plus, every course completed or live event attended, like these that we have here, counts towards CPEs for your professional certifications, like your CISSP. Join the community of more than 24 cyber pros and some of the industry's renowned cybersecurity leaders by trying one of our plans today. Visit cybersecuritygrowth.com.
Awesome. Excellent sponsor.
Yeah, they're great. We're so happy to have them.
They're the best.
All right, Garrett, our hot topic, the 2025 Verizon DBIR. We grabbed some highlights, we put them here, and they're kind of organized in like 10 different areas. So we're going to just spend a couple minutes on each because this report's massive. Jared, I just want to do an intro and introduce the first one, and we can talk about it.
Well, so this is the largest data set to date. And, that's not surprising because security just becomes more and more prevalent, important. And those of us who've been in security our entire lives, you're probably like, well, security's always been important. But security is now getting a grander and grander stage. And every year, I'm just like the amount of exploits and attacks, I'm like, there's no way it could get bigger, but it absolutely did. This year, the Verizon DBIR team, which, by the way, is staffed with the world's leaders in security research, analyzed 22,000 security incidents and almost 12,000 confirmed breaches from November 1st, 2023 to October 31st, 2024, the most extensive data breach investigations report yet.
I think they've said that every year, right? Which isn't it's a testament to them and to the team. Like, one, they've been doing this for so many years, and every year they're like, let's get more data. Let's just keep packing in more data. Which, of course, that means there's more security incidents for them to pack in. But
that's exactly correct. So that should tell you exactly that. There's more and more security activity, which every year, Sean, we say the same things. I'm like, wow, ransomware is up 33%. It's like up, from last year. And every year it's just an increase. So again, that just bolsters our notion that we've said before, which is this security activity is not slowing down. It is speeding up 100%. Yeah.
And by the way, we talk about this report every year. You'll hear me mention it on social media. We'll talk about it on here. For those of you who are new to it, because it has the word Verizon in front of it, this doesn't mean you have to be like a Verizon wireless customer or a Verizon like internet or cable customer. It's not that. This is the Verizon security team analyzing the world. Right. That's so right. It is not just focused on the consumer customers. So sometimes folks might just think that when they hear the word Verizon, they're like, my cell phone provider. No.
Well, that's funny that you said that because the first time I heard of Verizon DBIR, I'm like, about what? Like cell phones and
right.
But then of course, yeah, they have a whole security team. They actually have a managed security offering as well, I believe.
Yeah. So it's just something to keep in mind. So to me, that's interesting. The next one here, system intrusions explode, right? So when they talk about intrusions, they're things like malware, ransomware, multi-stage attacks that come into companies. Intrusions are now topping the chart they have all these charts, right, in the report. The report in itself is trying to give us pie charts and different reports to say, where are the biggest security incidents, where are the biggest breaches taking place, and where are the commonalities. Now, 53% of breaches are made up based off of intrusions, malware, ransomware, multi-step attacks. That's 50% of breaches coming from those types of scenarios. And that is up from 36% last year. So 15+%, nearly 20% growth of malware, ransomware, and multi-step attacks, right? Multi-stage attacks, right? You find one piece of the attack, and then you pivot to another piece, and then you find your way into. So what does that mean? Things are being ramped up, right? The attackers are not necessarily taking the easy way out. They're actually making things more difficult for us, the defenders, because they are really ramping up their approach and their tactics.
Well, what that tells me, and it's pretty interesting because malware, ransomware, those make sense that those are more prevalent. We've seen upticks in, ransomware as a service for many, many years, where you can just go on the dark web, where Sean likes to do all of his online shopping. Right. Dark web, Amazon's real weird. Go on the dark web and you can just purchase ransomware. You don't have to author it. You can just broker someone to develop a bespoke ransomware package for you. So that one doesn't surprise me. The multi-step hacks is the one that kind of sticks out to me, because what does that tell you? Does that tell you that there are smarter, more motivated hackers out there? I don't know about that. What I'm getting from this is that there is a big rise in state-sponsored activity, espionage, and more complex attack campaigns that are probably initiated by the cream of the crop, which are unfortunately usually folks that are working for defense departments around the world.
So thinking about that, state-sponsored is raising the number, where it's existed for as long as we've all known, but maybe a little bit more in the shadows than, making its way to this stage, and this stage possibly growing like it is.
Well, and I don't want to we do whatever we can to stay away from politics on this show, but
I'm starting to give up on that, but
yeah, me too. But I would wager that just the incrementing war climate in our world these days, I think that
it's no longer just two countries. It's all over the place.
Correct. And anyone who has any experience with that type of attribution knows that they're not just attacking one area. It's oftentimes a shotgun approach to see who will pick up the bad email. So that's interesting to me, but I would wager a guess that that's due to the amount of warfare that's going on, and the fact that electronic warfare is the most prevalent these days. Like, people don't realize that, but that's the most of what we're seeing out there, rather than kinetic type.
Yeah, right. As nations are using kinetic warfare, aka dropping bombs and shooting things, right? As they're doing that from nation to nation, we should all recognize their cyber teams are doing the same thing online, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
and hey, we're doing it too. Make no mistake. Like, we're probably one of the worst defenders out there. But yeah, it's definitely happening. So that doesn't surprise me. You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, what do you got?
Well, so this one, very near and dear to my heart, because we would see this all the time. I mean, this was like probably the reason that we had most of the attacks, when I was in the seat, was breaches involving partners or suppliers, i.e. third-party risk, soared from 15 to 30%, which, they would consider a seismic shift in supply chain danger. But again, that doesn't surprise me either, just because of how interconnected this world is, and how everything has to have an API and has to be automated, has to be integrated, which is fine. But the bulk of security teams and compliance teams and risk analyst teams out there are not doing their due diligence on who they're partnering with, and that is what is driving that number up.
Think about it. I mean, the third-party risk, I started talking about this, I think it was 2018, once I was interviewing a software engineer and said, hey, how much code do you write yourself these days? And for full transparency, back in the 1990s, way back then, I wrote code for a living. Like, that's what I wrote. And I wrote most of my code, and I was writing in, like, Java was my primary language. And I would there'd be include statements, which means I'm including someone else's code, right? So I never always wrote all my code, but I would include other things. When I asked a software engineer, I'm like, how much code do you as a software company write versus how much is like someone else's code, third-party libraries, open source software? Yeah. He said it's 80-20. I was like, okay, you guys write about 80% of your code? He's like, no. We write about 20% of our code. 80% is someone else's. This was in 2018. And that number seems to still stick when I ask people. It sounds, sometimes I think it might be actually going up. So that's something that is, and there's where your third-party risk is. All these other things you're including in your software from a software engineer's perspective is something someone else wrote that may or may not be secure, that may or may not have your type of protections and assurances in there, that may be malicious, right?
What I think is really interesting, and we could probably do a whole show on this, is the rise of AI written code, because all that it's doing is pulling from other sources. Not all, because of course it's, using its understanding of coding fundamentals, but it's definitely pulling from other sources, like, oh, I need a shopping cart, or I need a way to display this RSS feed or something. I'm not a web designer, obviously.
Well, You mentioned AI developed code. So people are using Cursor right now plugged into their development environments, which is helping them as software engineers to write code using an AI tool. Like, so you have Visual Studio, plug in Cursor. A lot of people are using things like Claude Code, which is kind of basically competitor ChatGPT to help code. Another one I learned about 2 months ago, I'm going to just mention it briefly, and then I'm not going to tell you anymore because I'm working on something with it. It's a tool called Replit. Have you heard of Replit?
No.
It is a prompt-based software development tool. You prompt like you would ChatGPT, but the end result is a functional piece of software. And I have prompted myself into 2 really interesting pieces of software that, and it's free to play with, and then you pay, a monthly subscription, and then you can publish your software. So I am actually in the process of publishing like a multi-user product.
Oh, really?
More than one. And then also part of what I want to do is then take the end result of this AI generated web application and then run it through security tooling to see, well, how to do.
Right.
How to do. How many vulnerabilities did this thing introduce, or was it better off than my software engineers that I hire, at short money at other countries in the world?
Right. Yeah, interesting. And again, because in security, we're always railing against the fact that software engineers have completely different motivators than we do. Like, we want business to move forward securely. They want to ship code. That's it. So I'm wondering how much of that AI code writing is kind of like throwing security out the window, because I don't know. And again, I'm not a developer, but maybe you don't have to jump through as many hoops or write as long a code to avoid SQL injection or things like that, or whatever. So I wonder if AI is also embracing those engineering fundamentals as well.
Like you said, full show on this, and third-party risk was on like the cover of the artwork of the report this year because it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
But we got to move on. The fourth thing that out of the 10 things that we highlighted here, your edge network, your VPNs, right? The vulnerabilities around like edge devices have just continued to go up through the roof. Like exploitation of vulnerabilities are now accounting for 20% of breaches. And it's a 35% bump over last year.
How many vendors are out there pushing the boundaries on how to improve their VPN, not only usability, but security? And as we know, one of the biggest indicators of, lack security is going to be bad usability, because people are going to find ways around it or things of that nature. So that doesn't surprise me at all. In fact, I work in a section of the security industry that is dealing with things like this. And so this is no surprise to me. It's interesting that it's just now starting to crop up as like a big attack vector, because these issues that they're describing have been around for quite some time.
Yeah, here's another metric from the report. Of these edge type devices, firewalls, VPNs, things like that, network edge devices, when vulnerabilities are identified, only 54% of vulnerabilities are getting patched. And it's usually taking a median of like 32 days to remediate those vulnerabilities, which again, if you work at a company, you think about like, hey, how often does your network team patch the firewall, right? How often? How often do they patch the edge devices? And usually we're not talking about your Microsoft, Patch Tuesday updates of Microsoft Office and Windows. No, we're talking about like your edge network devices. It's not that frequent.
No, and that's not, again, reiterating, that is not something that those vendors are pushing as major initiatives either, is to increase the security of their products, because oftentimes the vendors that manage those VPN devices, even the edge routers and stuff, that's not their major line of business anymore. It's now software. You think about like Cisco, Fortinet, or Palo Alto, like they're selling software. They're software companies now.
No. And I think you think about it, like Forta anything was in the news a lot last year. Right? I'm talking about the Fortinet products, right? The Fortinet products. They were in the news a lot for having like a zillion vulnerabilities. And some of them were exploited. They were dealing with a lot of vulnerable product that was released. They were in the news a ton last year.
Well, and probably they're a victim of their own success, having like 98 different product lines or whatever. Like that, having worked at security software companies, just like I do, it's hard to maintain all of that. But it's not impossible.
Yeah, so like I said, the four to anything, because there's
Right.
so many products that start with the word for it. All right, what's the next one here?
Oh, so this should shock no one. Credentials and theft of the credentials is still on the rise. So in this year's report, 22% of breaches start with credential abuse. That's overall. Okay, that's every attack vector. When it comes to basic web attacks, 88% of attacks involve stolen credentials. And in the realm of research and statistics, I mean, that's almost 100%. Like that's very close to just every web attack is going to involve some sort of stolen credentials. That doesn't surprise me either.
Usernames, passwords,
Well,
ways in non-human identities.
Absolutely. But I mean, think about it. And again, we could do a whole show on this, but the human element just leaves so much to be covered. You've got password reuse. You've got the proclivity of phishing. You've got, well, I mean, basically that's it. Password reuse.
Those are the big things, right? Those are the
how
big things.
easy it is to phish someone still these days, which just blows my mind because phishing is not new. It's been around for a very long time. This awareness has been around for a very long time, but we still see
the fake Microsoft login that someone gets an email that gets them to this fake Microsoft login, and they type their username, password, and the bad guy now has it. And now they're one more. There's the multi-step attack. By the way, we mentioned that at the beginning of the show, right? Maybe you can't log in because you got MFA, but now you've got the user's username and password. All right, now let me go see how I get through their Microsoft Authenticator or Okta Authenticator.
Oh yeah, and humans unfortunately are so predictable. So even if you're not reusing the same password, oftentimes people will rotate characters within their password. And in the age of AI, it's very easy to just like vomit out all possible permutations that would have evolved from that password, and then use that in a dictionary-style brute force attack. It's actually trivial how easy those attacks are accomplished.
I like when I occasionally get asked to talk somewhere, in front of like the team or a small group or something, and I, get into the password conversation if that's part of the topic, and I say, just curious, like, I don't want to see show of hands because I don't want you to give it away, but like, do you have an exclamation at the end of your password, or like a one and then an exclamation or something like that? I was like, you see the squirms? Like, how does he know? Because we're humans, and there's this common thing that we all somehow, our brains sometimes tend to do. And I'm not saying everybody squirmed, but there was enough squirms. If there's one squirm in the room, that's where the bad guys who can automate attacks is going after that one.
That's right. As an add-on to this topic, I'll also mention info stealer malware, which is malware that is just designed to come in and harvest tokens, usually from your machine. We've seen that a lot on corporate devices, obviously, because you want to get in there and try to, steal keys that developers have stored from their, workbooks or whatever. However, 30% of info stealer malware that was discovered was on corporate devices. 46% of devices were personal ones. So that's interesting because now and you saw this with that Disney guy, the guy who got in trouble for having, looked at some material on his work machine. Well, that was all precipitated by them compromising his personal device. So, we've kind of gone full circle. I mean, back in the day, it was like you didn't bring personal devices into the network. And then now it's just like suddenly ubiquitous and acceptable to do that. But now we're starting to see a little bit of a clawback on like, okay, if you're going to use personal devices in a business context, you must have endpoint detection. You must have some sort of control on your personal device, or else you don't get on the network. And I will absolutely go on record to say that is the right way to do things.
Yeah, it's funny. Like it doesn't seem like it was that long ago where even if your company gave you a laptop, you still couldn't connect if you weren't hardwired in, or if they were, cutting edge connected to the local Wi-Fi.
That's right.
And you think about it, everybody listening to this show right now, I would presume works from home. Maybe not 100% of the time, but more than 0%. And it wasn't that long ago where working from home wasn't a thing. And And I know it was a while back. Like I am going back, 10 plus years when I say, I'm talking pre-pandemic too. Because working remote pre-pandemic was a thing for a lot of companies. Obviously it was already a thing, but 20 years ago, working from home wasn't a thing. Working remote really wasn't a thing for very many. And yeah, here we are where that actually becomes one of the biggest entry points, leveraging the fact that folks are using their personal devices and session token stealers go onto your personal device to take your work session token and then find their way in. Yep.
Well, and if you don't have work stuff on your mobile device, there's still a possibility that they're going to harvest your passwords because you probably use the same password on your personal device for things as you do on your work stuff.
Yeah, you think you have a separation of duties, right? That it's my personal password and it's on my personal computer, but my work password, even though it's the same one, it's different. No, bad guys will find it and figure it out. We got to move on. A word that has been said on every single show since we've started this show, but ransomware, right? Ransomware is relentless. It still exists. It does not seem like it's going anywhere. It's not going away. Ransomware is like, it's here to stay, like COVID-19 is here to stay. It's a terrible analogy, but it's a reality. But there is something that stood out. Payments did drop. And we did talk about this on some shows throughout the year, but payments did drop. So ransomware involved in 44% of breaches. Again, it is not going anywhere. And that is up 37. Was it up from 37% or up 37%?
It's up 37%.
Yeah. I mean, so it has gone up. But the ransomware payments have fell down to a median of $115,000 per payment, down from $150,000. So it is definitely, the payment has reduced. And according to the records, 64% of victims refused to pay the ransom this past year.
Now, you have to temper that with the fact that, like, a lot of people aren't going to disclose that they paid the ransom. A lot.
Some will pay and not disclose. I bet both of us know people who have paid and have not told.
I would say most, and not trying to steal your thunder on that figure because it's a pretty impressive one. But yeah, like I don't buy that 64% of victims refuse to pay. But if that's the case, then that shows that some of the hard work we've been doing in raising awareness about how paying the ransom actor doesn't necessarily mean that you're, in the clear. Maybe that's actually having an effect.
Yeah. All right. We got three more. What's the next one here?
So the human factor is still a huge part of the equation. That should surprise no one. 60% of those 20,000 some odd breaches, or the 12,000 breaches that were researched, 60% of those involved human error. So that includes phishing, clicking on something you shouldn't, unauthorized actions. And there's little reduction in click rates on like phishing emails, according to folks that track that type of behavior. Yet, organizations that invested in training saw 4 times better phishing reporting rates. Duh! That's the biggest obvious one out there. You train your people and show them how to deal with these type of threats, and you're going to reduce the impact of those. That should be an obvious one.
So human is the weakest link, again, is kind of what number 7 is talking about. And yeah, we are, because we're not made up of ones and zeros. There's the difference. So human error, think about this. Human error, an important thing. Phishing emails that trick us, that we click on, inadvertently clicking on a wrong link somewhere. It didn't mention this in what we just read here, but thinking about human error could also be in programming side too. Like, hey, someone, programs something and that's more on the software side, but I know this piece was focused around kind of like the end user making human error, but human error can also be, writing code, vulnerable code. The education piece, I think, is something that really stands out, because many of our friends out in the industry talk about how they really don't love phishing training exercises, sending out phishing testing every month or something along those lines. But I think it's the idea of, like, when we say training, it's the idea of training, and training comes in many forms. Yeah, there's phishing training, that annoying one. There's the annual security awareness training that we all need to do for compliance. Maybe if you make it entertaining enough, people will pay a little bit of attention to it. But most people are doing it because it's an annual compliance thing. But other ways of training, we talked about this. Do you ever hold security lunch and learns? Buy pizzas if you ever are in office. where you buy pizzas for folks and talk about security topics that might be relevant to people.
Yep.
Right. Keep security front of mind. Build culture in your company around security. There's many different ways to do training. Some of it is that annual security awareness training. Some of it is phishing training. But lunch and learns, Slack messages, just reminding folks of maybe the latest fraud that's happening out on Facebook and informing your folks around how to be safe and how to protect themselves to get security into the mindset. Because those of us on our show here, we are, security native, but you got to remember all of our constituents generally are not. And so those little basic things are super helpful for everyone, I think.
And it's like the intersection of just not knowing and not caring. And it's not because they're jerks. It's because they're not informed. They don't understand. So yeah, I will underscore what you just said. That training is more often just letting folks know that you're there, and here are some tidbits, and here's how you navigate this thing. But yeah, the thing that I've said before that I will say again, I'll make this brief, is you have to bolster your training with curation throughout the year, the month, the quarter. You can't just do even a once a quarter security awareness training. That's not going to be good enough. You need to do it and not put everyone through a classroom training every month, but just bolster that. Just to have something that kind of reinforces what you taught them. Hey, remember that thing we did a month ago? Well, here's an article showing you how this would have prevented that, or things of that nature.
I was picturing this visual, like when you do that security training, everything goes like front of mind, and then it just kind of starts to slip to the back, and then it's like the mullet. It's like it just goes back to the party. But you're like, hold on, let's get the business up front here. Like every month or so, do a little something that brings it back to the front of mind, and that helps build that. It helps build that culture. Yeah.
That's right.
All right, moving on. Espionage. Ooh.
No
Espionage is in here, right? Espionage motivated breaches spiked by 163%. That's
not surprised. To the point I raised earlier. State-sponsored.
State-sponsored, yeah. It goes right back to that. It's amazing that espionage motivated breaches are escalating right now, hitting manufacturing, hitting healthcare. Coinbase in the news recently, something that wasn't even in last year's report might make it into next year's report, right? Coinbase just recently, their tech support folks or their support folks were coerced into being paid dollars to give away customer data.
Absolutely.
I actually can't see how this one's going to change with the climate of the world these days.
No, there's too much to gain from prudent espionage, and please don't ever quote me in saying that. It's true. There's too much to gain, and right now it is. Again, it's that intersection of the human element and how ubiquitous vulnerable technology is in the world.
Let's move on. Number 9, Garrett. Introduce us to 9. There's a lot in this one here.
Yeah, it's kind of a combo topic. So the title of this one is "Secrets in Generative AI Pose New Threats," and I'll break it down. So public repo secrets, when those get exposed, that's bad. That's really, really bad.
Right. When your developers are maybe like putting passwords in GitHub or something like that, and
passwords, secrets, keys, whatever. Yes. In this report, they identified about 442,000 leaked secrets. Okay. Think about that. Now, here's the real bad one. With a median remediation time of 94 days. Now, let's just think about how much bad stuff you and I could do in 3 months of being on-prem with someone. That's kind of scary to think about.
So this has existed for years, right? Developers are oftentimes putting secrets in code, and now that we're using public repos, which we've been doing for years as well, and if you're using your personal GitHub account, by default, it's like how Amazon S3 used to be. By default, GitHub is public. And if you don't lock it down, your code with actual secrets in them, which again, if you do good secure coding, maybe you don't put secrets in your code, but I would say I can find a product on a regular basis if I'm doing a security assessment that has a secret in it somewhere. And then I say, hey, let's find a way to pull the secret out and put it somewhere else so it doesn't live in code. But now you put it on a public GitHub, someone else saw it, they take that secret, and now they're going to use it against you. It happens. It's everywhere. It is very pervasive.
Well, an interesting tidbit of this to kind of fork off, 43% of leaked cloud secrets were Google Cloud keys, which just to kind of read into that a little bit, that highlights that stale, unmanaged credentials are a big part of this. Now, what I mean by that are probably secrets that you have forgotten about. But guess what? They still provide access to things. And then this is the exploit is old as time itself. It's like, oh, we spun up X, whether that's a code repo, a website, a marketing project where we're collecting, emails and phone numbers, and we forgot about it. That project ended, but no one shut down the website. No one closed off the repo. No one shut off the, I don't want to dime anyone out here, but shut off the event site that you set up there. So that's not very surprising.
It's funny, as you're saying, I don't want to dime anyone out. I was actually thinking about a project that I worked on within the last calendar year. I'm going to keep it there. Within the last calendar year, where it was an assessment of old domains that were potentially shut down, more likely abandoned, and the things that were found on these old domains that should have either been shut down or integrated and were left in similar to what you're just saying. Real world, right?
And so to just add a cherry on top of this awful ice cream sundae that we're talking about, where else do you think secrets end up, Sean?
You're thinking like in the world of like chat GPTs and LLMs and Claude and this is why this was the two things wrapped in one, because like when we put this together, like these are two very separate topics, but at the same time, your big LLM databases are pulling in anything they can, anything that's publicly available out there. It's getting
not only that, plenty of people are putting code into these generative AI to say, well, hey, how does my code look? Oh, and by the way, there's the key. Like there's your secret connection right there, stored in there. And I want to think that companies like that are safeguarding those things. But again, to our point earlier of third-party, risk, that is not an assumption that you can make in today's world. So what else? What? I think we have one more to talk about.
One more. The last one of the year in the report that we gathered. Business email compromise, BEC, it's back, baby. It never went anywhere, and it doesn't seem like it wants to go anywhere. Business email compromise has racked up $6.3 billion in losses globally, costing about $50,000 per incident. So, that fake email that is, pretending to be from your boss, telling you to wire money to someone else that you...
Yes.
In the industry of technology and software and security, we still can't figure out how to protect our poor folks from malicious email attacks, whether they're phishing attacks or business email compromise like this. It's
SMS all the time. I can't tell you how many texts I get from my CEO asking me to buy him Applebee's gift cards. And it's like, really? Here's the problem. Why do those texts still exist? Because they work.
They work. Yeah.
Because they still work on people, and that just blows me away. Every year I'm just like lose a little bit more faith in my fellow man. But how do you increase that faith? Training, security awareness training.
It's funny. Man, the show's a downer.
I mean, it really is, but like that's what we're here to talk about is like this is why it's bad, and here's how you can prevent that.
Yep.
I was going to say, not to just give a purely self-serving plug here, but that's one of the benefits of being a part of Cybersecurity Growth is that you are learning, you're meeting with other people, you're learning about these stories, and you're able to better arm yourself because you get to learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
Because that's what all these are mistakes and falling short and doing, the easy way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
All right. So, credentials are still a point of failure.
Yes.
That's a thing. That is still a thing. If you or your software is if you are connected to someone insecure, or if your software is connected to insecure software or an insecure vendor, you are insecure. That is continuing.
That's right.
This is an interesting one. The edge device is the new battleground. I mean, this is a quote we grabbed and put in here. I don't know about this. I don't know about this, but just be aware for you who are working with your internal technical teams. Just be on the lookout about maybe patching your edge devices, right? Check in with your IT teams about protecting your edge devices because they are being attacked regularly. That is really what is the big deal. And maybe people are forgetting about them because they're spending most of their time focused on software these days.
Well, another part of this, unfortunately, is money. You've got your VPN infrastructure that was modernized, 10 years ago. Well, where's the motivation to the business for you to actually, improve that again? So you kind of have to take matters into your own hands. And like you said, make sure they're patched, identify vulnerabilities as soon as possible, and use that information to, to justify, another kind of refresh of those devices.
And an opportunity for folks who are saying, like, how do I operationalize this? Whatever your vulnerability management program is, which probably has some vulnerability management tool, try to get these sensors of that tool, make sure they're on your edge devices. Because it's really easy to get your vulnerability scanners on your user endpoints. There's always a security agent, and you just kind of use that security agent to get the data. But do you neglect your edge devices, your firewalls, your VPN concentrators, your routers, your either your physical gear or your virtualized version of that physical gear?
Yep.
Just make sure your vulnerability management program's not forgetting those, right? And that way you can get that visibility.
And it's tough because those devices are chatty, but that's, where, again, just figure it out. Figure out a way to do it.
Yeah. What else? Humans are the wild card, right? We're not as coded as everything else. So we are the wild card. Keep training.
Training helps, but, it's not the end all be all. You got to bolster with other controls as well.
Yeah. And then secrets. This is a tough one because I've seen this problem for many years. And like I said, I've seen it in the last calendar year, that secrets being publicly exposed. Continue in your security programs to assess how your software development folks are storing code, where their code repos are.
Yep.
Help think about, you've got challenges with products like, there's GitHub, GitLab, there's lots of tools out there, but like GitHub has the challenge of having the free version or the personal version, which is generally public by default because that was how it was designed. And then there's the enterprise version, which you can lock down secure. Can you figure out a way that you use the enterprise version of your company and you can disable the ability to use the free version? Like things along those lines. What can you do to help protect your company's secrets from, from your inadvertent, employees putting stuff out publicly where they didn't even mean to?
Now, those corporate AI accounts, they should not be leaking data out of that. But I would still say, even if you're planning on using that to review code or review, the launch materials for something that's not publicly available, I would still use a little bit of extra caution to be as kind of guarded as possible because you don't know where that information is going.
Yeah, I mean, AI showed up this year on the report, and I will, if I'm looking forward to next year's report, I think AI is going to get closer to the front page.
Absolutely.
Companies are taking different takes on this, but we know this: every software company is releasing an AI into their product. If you don't, you're missing it. You're missing something. Something's wrong.
Every software company.
So everybody's releasing AI into their product, and companies are taking different approaches. The more very progressive companies are like, everybody, AI, all the things, experiment with AI. And so for those of us who are trying to put some guardrails on, it is very tough to put guardrails on when the company mission is use all these new tools to help us become more efficient.
That's right.
Now, your more highly regulated orgs are probably going to be a little bit slower to that adoption because they have a lot of controls in place. But the lesser regulated orgs are always thinking about how can we become more efficient, and let's let these new tools see if they can help us. And we don't know enough about these tools because they're being built by the most mature companies on earth, but they're being built by companies we've never heard of before, and we don't know where and how things are being protected before it goes into the big pool of data.
But this little quote that you have up here really sums it up, and I love this. Secrets in AI, the hidden vulnerability factory.
Yeah, it's good.
It's true.
It's good. All right, there's our report. We wrote a final takeaway here. The 2025 DBIR isn't just reading the tea leaves, it's roaring that security today is about defending identities, supply chains, and hidden APIs. Guys, read the report if you haven't already. We do these summaries to bring it to your attention. We think this will be something that you'll want to read. If you're not a regular reader of it, go grab it. There's a few versions of it. There's the full report, and there's executive summaries of the report, and you'll see now there's a ton of bloggers who've done their own take on it. Great report. And if you don't read the subtitle, you read the subtitles. Like the bottom of every page is the fine print of every page. Read it. It's some of them will make you laugh.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Gary, you're talking about the graphics that are on there, the images.
The infographic. Yeah, that's a great way to communicate that out to folks that may not be so in tune to security and familiar with all the nomenclature that we use. That might be an easier way for you to communicate some of these concepts out there.
Yeah, and I've done this before. I'll take pieces of the DBIR and I'll screenshot some of them and put them into PowerPoint or Google slide decks, and I use that to build business cases for where we should invest and where we should be on the lookout for future investment. So those of you who are leaders who are trying to figure out how to build business cases, the DBIR has the visuals that can help you. No question.
Agreed. Hey, if you're Admiral, or we're going to wrap it up.
I'm going to make it real quick. If you haven't been to the merch store, go to cybersecuritygrowth.com, click on the merch button. We got some tees, some polos, and more things coming soon. We were supposed to have a whole lot more by now, but we're working on more. So we got a merch store out there. Go get a t-shirt, go get a polo, represent cybersecurity growth.
That's right.
And we're going to wrap things up. A couple shows I know we want to do. I've been involved in some business continuity exercises recently, and I uploaded some business continuity resources to the resource section of the Cybersecurity Growth platform.
Oh, cool.
So maybe we'll do a show on that where we walk through some of those and discuss that. That could be really great.
Yeah, because that often is a neglected piece of early organizations that are starting to embrace security. Is you get all these security controls in place, but you don't have a plan for when it actually goes down.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a show, because I've been getting more involved in some of the GenAI tools, and I think they could be really valuable. We briefed on a couple of them on today's show. So maybe we'll do a show where we bring a few tools that we use that are leveraging GenAI. Maybe we'll talk about those. That could be really interesting. We're talking about a little product discussion. How do we use them in our everyday life and security risks and challenges around them? That could be kind of cool.
Answer everything. What socks should I wear with this outfit? How do I make potato soup? Like, I don't even Google anymore. I just use generative AI.
That's all I do. All right, Gary, we get to wrap up. This is good. We get to wrap up here. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If your company would like to become a sponsor of the Cybersecurity Growth Show, you can reach out to us at sales@cybersecuritygrowth.com. I am Sean Valley, the creator of this show and the music here on Cybersecurity Growth. You can visit us at cybersecuritygrowth.com to get all the shows, and you can go to cybersecuritygrowth.com/webcast to get a direct link for the shows. You can find us on every social location under @Cybersecurity Growth. We're most active on LinkedIn and TikTok. And I think since the last time we did a show, we surpassed 400 followers on LinkedIn, getting close to 500, and more than 1,000 on TikTok. That was pretty cool. Both Garrett and I posted videos out there as well. So if you have not checked us out on LinkedIn or TikTok recently, you should get out there and you can check out our personal messages to our followers who've joined us out there. Garrett, can you believe that 1,000 on TikTok? I did not think that would ever happen, which is
no, me laugh. I'm still blown away.
Okay, if you like the show, please tell your friends. If you hate it, please tell all of the adversaries out in the world. Let them know where we're at. Send them our way. Please like, subscribe, and leave 5 stars and leave a review on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen or watch. Maybe leave a message, say like, great show. I learned something to help me in my cybersecurity career. Garrett, you don't do much in the social media, so just curious, where can people find you online?
You'll probably find me hanging out on the edge of your environment, checking out some of your VPN and edge router vulnerabilities, and helping you develop POCs to exploit them and then fix them.
Again, patch your stuff, kids. Patch your stuff.
Patch your stuff, because Uncle Garrett's out there.
All right, this week we covered the 2025 Verizon DBIR. We are live on the Cybersecurity Growth platform every other week.
Oh, for sure.
Wink, wink. But Gary, I did update the times. Fridays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. GMT, and we are in your pod feeds a few days later. I think there was one truth and 3 lies in that last sentence.
That's fine. That's a good ratio.
Gary, you're not going to get back to work. We're busy, right?
Yeah, let's get back to work. I got stuff to do.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll catch you all next time.
Good to see you, my man.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.